Once again, Keir Starmer and the Labour Party have shown their true face, which proved to us that there is no difference between the Labour Party and the current Tory party. Yep, here we go again. So, we know that the political establishment, the mainstream parties, the centre-left and centre-right, are all doing the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if it's Team Red or Team Blue. Now, on the issue of the winter strikes and the public sector battle and the trade unions, you would have thought a few decades ago the battle would be more black and white. That, technically the Tory side would be more in favour of reducing the size of the state, so we have fewer public sector workers, so that if there's an economic crisis, we could actually still have money for pay rises. And the Labour Party would go with their founders, which are the trade unions, and their agenda, their socialist agenda, to increase the size of the state, so that eventually we'll have equality, equally poor. Everybody equally poor. Now, right now, the problem is the Tory establishment and the Labour establishment that are similar, they're going both the wrong direction. So this is Stephen Kinnock, on behalf of the Labour Party, going on TV and defending and supporting the government's effort to use the army to come in and break the strikes. Now, some people are on the right, some people are on the left. Some people want the army to get involved, some people don't want the army to get involved. I'm not talking about the differences in views and ideologies. I'm talking about the fact that why is the Labour Party supporting the army getting involved? On the other hand, taking the money from the trade unions for their campaigns and technically publicly say we're back to strikes. So they're back to strikes, but they want to break the strikes. Let's go to Stephen Kinnock and see what that guy is ranting about.
So on the issue of the army being brought in the interim period, do you support them being brought in to cover emergency services?
Well, we're left with no choice. And so, yes, we do support that.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the 2020 saga, the lockdown days, when we simply wanted an opposition to the government. We simply wanted to have a debate. If Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance are advising Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson and forcing them into going into lockdown, we kind of wanted the opposition at the time, Her Majesty's most loyal opposition, to challenge it. But Keir Starmer kept coming out and initially would say, I'm just supporting the government. And then he realized, he has to say something different. So he changed his narrative to, yes, I'm against what the government just proposed, the lockdown policy. And why are you against it, Mr. Starmer? Because we should have more lockdown. So you support the policy, you just want to go further. That is not really opposition. That's not really how we do things in this country. Now, the Labour Party are all over the place. They might be doing well in the opinion polls, but as I always say on this channel, it's not a support for Labour Party, it's a support moving away from the Tory establishment. Now, this is funny because we have Starmer, who recently sold his, as this headline says, Andrew Young, he recently sold his green belt land for £400,000 in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Now, of course, this is private land. He can do whatever he wants with it, but it's not a good look when it comes to his narrative, because it said, just days before travellers set up unauthorised caravan site next door that was compared to a military operation by shocked residents. It doesn't help a narrative of a socialist like Starmer, who goes out there and says, well, I'm against the system. I want to bring down the crown and parliamentary democracy, and I want to replace it with a republic, a socialist republic. And then he said, we need to eliminate the rich, and we should all be equally poor. So because he doesn't like capitalism, he claims he doesn't like capitalism. Then he literally uses capitalism to sell his own land. This is funny. It is absolutely hilarious. Do you know why it's happening? Because David Miliband might be coming back. Oh my God. Do you remember David Miliband with his banana? What would David Miliband comeback mean for Starmer's Labour Party? Because if the dinosaurs of the Labour Party, whatever you want to call them, the centrists, new liberals, the globalist nutters, the hawkish sides, the new cons, because they are knocking on the door of the Labour Party, and because Starmer has essentially not really fully credited to himself, but it was just the inevitable outcome of the 2019 election, they've successfully eliminated the hard left Corbynistas. Their new opposition to the current Labour establishment is the Brownites. And Gordon Brown has been invited into the Labour family. He's now running the policy programme, the former Prime Minister. So Starmer is not even his own man, he's not even his own leader. And at the same time, expect the Labour Party to do more flip-flopping and go more towards not necessarily the right, but more towards the establishment side, because he's scared of David Miliband coming back. Imagine being scared of the comeback and the return of David Miliband. Keir Starmer should probably still focus on what's going on with the country. As Dan Hodges said, who will the left, the political left, blame when Keir Starmer is in charge and the Channel boats keep on sinking? Not only keep on sinking, but keep on coming. What's the excuse then? Because right now in the House of Commons, Starmer regularly stands up and challenges the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister, saying, guys, you need to do something about the border crisis, the migration crisis. It makes you think, oh, Starmer cares about the border. But his solution is not to sort out the border. It's just a political game. Because what if he's Prime Minister and the same problem happens, which will happen? What is he going to say then? Is he going to stand up and attack himself, saying, I'm Keir Starmer and I have a question for Keir Starmer. Why is the border crisis still going on? It's absolute idiocy what's going on in the political establishment. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section on my Tousi, and we are the media.